Welcome to Drinks in the Library, the only library where drinks aren't just allowed, they are required. I'm your librarian host, Gigi Howard, and each episode I'll be interviewing a guest about a much-loved book that we will be pairing with a drink for you to enjoy along with us or consider for your next book club meetup. As always, stay curious and support your local library. Hello, Libration Nation. Missing You, Metropolis by Gary Jackson is a poetry collection that blends superheroes, comic book mythology, pop culture, and personal memory to explore identity, race, love, grief, and belonging. Through inventive, emotionally resonant poems, Jackson reimagines iconic characters and fictional worlds as lenses for examining real-life experiences and the complexities of growing up Black in America. I had such a blast exploring this book with Martheaus Perkins. Martheaus is a teacher, editor, and hot sauce enthusiast based in Washington, D.C. He is the recipient of the Robert Creeley Memorial Award, the Voices President's Award, the JMU Reinhardt Fiction Award, and the Robert Raymond Scholarship. His debut poetry collection, The Grace of Black Mothers, was published by Trio House Press in 2025. All right, while we were recording, we sipped iced tea, which was a drink Martheaus often enjoyed with his grandmother. I also want to add this episode was recorded at the Richmond Poetry Fest 2026 in April. I know it's been a minute. I've been busy, y'all. But we had such a blast recording at the Poetry Fest, and I want to give a special thanks to Rosa Castellano for bringing us together. One thing I do want to add about this episode, we do read some poetry. There is some creative license in poetry, so some of the language and subject matter may not be appropriate for all audiences. So just a heads up if you're listening with some other people around you. If you're enjoying the show, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Give me a review. I always read those and I really appreciate it. All right, let's get to it. So we're live.
This is amazing. Lift off.
You just said you were in radio before, so this is not new for you.
Oh, I have one of the weirdest first jobs.
Okay.
Radio was my first job. I didn't do a restaurant. It was the first thing I did was talking to people about the news, and it was called the General Store. People would call in. I got a piano I want to sell. I'm looking for about $450 for it, and that was what I did for a living. So. Yeah, I was 15 years old doing this.
That's what I was going to ask. You were 15 years old?
Yeah, my first job. 15 years old and really probably shouldn't have been my first job. But that's a lot of power to put a mic in front of a 15-year-old boy. But no,
Hang on. So did you have like connections? Like were one of your parents on the radio?
Well, so this is East Texas.
Okay.
No, I mean, I didn't. I wish I had a nepotism story. It was really, I did debate. And so,
Okay.
and I was really afraid. I'm an awkward guy. And so I couldn't imagine myself in a restaurant being friendly for that long for being a waiter or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I wonder what I could do with speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then the radio, they had a old school newspaper ad, right? It wasn't like they didn't even do LinkedIn. That's how old school. And I was only using the newspaper, or I was only looking at the newspaper because I was in a student newspaper. It was really an accidental thing, and it ended up being 3 years of my life.
Okay. Absolutely. Like I'm literally just getting to know you. We're like 4 minutes in. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. If I could go back, maybe I would have wanted to have a more normal first job. You know that phrase, you have a face for radio? You know that phrase?
Yeah.
They were wonderful people, but it is really true. I mean, no one was a looker. I shouldn't say that. They probably should. They're lovely people.
Yes.
No, it was a great job. It was a great first job.
Yeah. Oh, I'm also obviously a talker.
Mhm.
So that's how I got here doing this
No,
podcast.
there's symbiosis here. We're in the same, it feels like I'm home being in front of a mic.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay. I'm excited. And all right. Our book today is Missing You, Metropolis. It's by Gary Jackson. I'm just so interested to ask you my question of like, all right, well, who were you when you picked this up?
Right. So some news is today's my birthday. So
Really?
that's right.
Happy
That's right. Thank you. Thank
birthday!
you.
Fellow Aries, my birthday's
Oh,
next week.
there you go. Yeah,
Yes.
we can butt heads about that, right? A little Aries joke. So I'm not very old. Today I turned 24.
Mhm.
So I haven't had a long life of reading.
Okay.
This book came into my hands around 4 years ago. I was in a writing program, undergraduate for writing, and I really liked superheroes. If I could draw, I would have been a comics creator. It's just kind of hard to that's a hard business to just walk into.
Yeah.
But so I was writing these poems about superheroes and things like that, and this book fell into my hands. My partner thought, hey, I've had this. That was the other thing. My partner was not a poet, just was a fan of comics. That was something that we bonded over. And she just handed me this book. Oh, I picked this up. I saw that it had Metropolis in the title. You like comics.
Mhm.
You're a poet, and it has been one of my favorite books in the short amount of time. To be fair, but still, it's honest. It's been one of my favorite books within the past 4 years of writing.
Yeah. And I have to say for the listener, you are wearing a Marvel
That's
Comics
right.
T-shirt.
We were joking about this when I was getting ready. I was like, "Oh, you know what? I got to represent. I got to represent the heroes." And Mariah was telling me that there's, well, it's a podcast. They're not going to see it. So I'm glad that you pointed it out because
Yes.
I want your listeners to know that I dress the part.
You really did. Yeah, we'll take a pic that we can pair
That's
with episode for sure so they know it. And so pull us in a little bit. It's a collection of poetry. Metropolis is in the title, so we're here for the
That's right.
heroes.
This is a special book because it's a first book. This is a winner of the Cave Canem Prize. Cave Canem it's a collective or fellowship of Black poets.
Okay.
It's one of the most sought after, prestigious organizations of poets in the world, and they run this first book contest. And so in 2009, Gary Jackson wins. Missing You Metropolis is a book of poems that follows multiple different heroes. Metropolis is in the title, makes you think of Superman and Lois Lane, but the book actually covers, I mean, dozens of, maybe something like 80. I haven't counted directly, but there's dozens and dozens and dozens of heroes mentioned,
Mhm.
heroes from different worlds, from different eras. The book, if I could say what the book is about,
Yeah.
it is a book about coming of age through the lens of these comic book characters, but also through the lens of being Black,
Mhm.
through the lens of being of a very particular kind of man, right? A nerdy man,
Okay.
a man looking for a community in the place that they live, but also looking for love. So
Yeah.
that's my quick introduction about Missing You Metropolis. It's a really really wonderful book.
Okay. What are some of the I guess we could just jump to your favorite poem if you're interested in that
Oh my
avenue.
gosh. I'd love to. And
Okay.
I think this is not the first poem in the book, but I think it's a great introduction to the book when it comes to speaking about how it talks about love. I didn't write
Good.
it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just know exactly where it is. So we're looking for the Lois Lane poem
I
here.
see it. It's on 38.
Oh, thank goodness. There it is. Okay.
38, you're calling us. Here we go. The Dilemma of Lois Lane.
Right. So this is my favorite poem in the book, The Dilemma of Lois Lane. When you first showed me your secret, the red S hidden beneath your shirt, all these years I lost my mind. God, just looking at you, thinking how those eyes will never fade or dull, how your hair will never uncurl and fall away, and how even though you haven't worked out since living on the farm, your body will always be as solid as diamonds. And yet, I have to pretend those things don't exist. That you'll always be the Clark that steps on people's shoes in elevators, the Clark that spills coffee on the break room floor. But you blow forest fires out with those same breaths I take into me when we kiss. And when you're tired, you dip into stars for afternoon naps. And I don't know which man is real. Sometimes, when we're alone at home fixing dinner, you'll pretend to wince when you cut yourself. And I find myself hoping that the tiniest drop of blood will bloom on your finger.
Oh, all right.
A lot
What is
there.
a lot of what really stands out to you in this?
So as we're traveling through the book, we're midway through, and the book starts in a place that I think is interesting to see where we get here. We can talk about that later. But we're traveling through so many different characters, right? Lois and Superman are not central to, they're not in every single poem, right? They might have 4 poems total in the book talking about Metropolis. Love is such a difficult thing to grasp onto. And it seems like a lot of what these metaphors are doing, using superheroes in their lives, is helping us put words to some of those things that are really strange and hard to describe in love. I struggle a lot with, I guess you can call it imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Within both work and writing, but also in my personal life. I don't know many friends who I think I'm a better friend than they're a friend to me. I don't know many lovers I've had where I think they're a better lover to me. I always think they're a better lover to me than I am to them. And so when I read this poem, as Lois Lane, a woman of flesh and bone, right? Who is with someone who bullets bounce off of him. You've heard he can leap a tall building in a single bound. Is it a bird or plane? You've heard these things. And so I know that was very familiar to me, to be looking at this partner and wanting any sign of weakness. The tiniest drop of blood on his finger right at the very end. And so what stands out to me from this poem is, well, how do we move through it? Okay, that's the dilemma, that's a problem, this imbalance that you might see in your relationship. But what are the ways in which you can move past that and still be able to show up and be present as a lover? And what I think is really exciting to me, and why it's my favorite poem in the book, is because you still see in this poem those tiny moments about why Lois Lane is in love with this man who spills coffee, this man who, he's a dork. and obviously you get to the end of the poem, and we're not confused if Lois really loves Clark. The only thing we really have to do is dealing with that difficulty of imposter syndrome or feeling in balance. So that's why I love the poem.
Okay. Yes. How do you, talking about imposter syndrome a little bit, like, I think a lot of people have that. And especially, I think it'd be interesting. You're turning 24 today, but here you are, this accomplished man in this world. How do you cope with those feelings? And do you find yourself getting encouragement through the poetry and all that good stuff?
Well, I don't know. I wish I had a pill for that. No, not really. But that's a very long question, a very nice question. It seems that what's the most honest feeling that I have for that question is that it takes constant charging. This is I'm going to make these nerdy references all the time. But Superman, if you take the sun away from Superman, he's just a man. He actually needs to go and fly in front of the sun to recharge. His cells is what gives him his power. And I don't feel comfortable necessarily comparing myself to Superman, but I will say that, I find that there is something that is helpful about constantly needing to question and recharge. And there are low points, but it is good to know that we can recharge ourselves when it comes to our confidence, when it comes to the way we show up in the world, when it comes to the way we love. How do I recharge? Part of that's coming out of my room. Part of that's reading, and not just reading, but really trying to ask questions about the writer and seeing how they came up. Many writers struggle with imposter syndrome. The first book is an interesting place too, because with my first book, The Grace of Black Mothers, oh my gosh. If there's 7 days in a week, 3 of them, I think it's the worst book on planet Earth. I really do. But that is because I have moved from that particular voice. I don't write poems like that. But I do recharge myself sometimes when I'm able to read the book and see, even if I didn't write those poems today, that my friends really did. I felt that they were being honest when they said they were worthwhile, that my mother really was helped by being able to read these words. And that's a kind of that it was authentic to my young self at that time. I say young self at 24, at that time, my 18-year-old self, my 17-year-old self when I was writing the poems. So that's a long answer, but I think I would say it's a constant battle. It's a persistent concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about superheroes too in this, are you a Marvel guy? You got your Marvel shirt on. Are you a DC guy?
No, I feel like we're a dying breed, DC people. Marvel we're getting our butts whipped. I'm wearing my jersey, but our team is not winning. I don't know that there's last year James Gunn came out with this great Superman movie. And so I think,
it was
and
really
then we got the Batman with Robert Pattinson. So I think we're in the we're coming around. But I'm a DC fan, but I
Okay.
love them both.
Yeah.
I love them both. It's interesting. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So this book has so many different heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering. So what's your? Do you have any relation with heroes, or is it something that's big in your life, or is this kind of an outsider, just the movies kind of thing?
I would love to say I am like really into superheroes and comic books. I have to tell you, I am very much married to someone who
Oh,
is.
that's great.
Yeah. So we're a hair older than you. I don't know if when you were a hair, we're like several hairs older than you. But anyhow, I don't know when you were growing up if you had like the comic books that you would go and collect and I don't know how much they cost. He has, I'm not even joking, probably like
Oh
1,000
my
of
gosh.
those in the basement. And he like,
Wow.
sweetie, when are we he listens to this too, but he has so many comic books. So yeah, I that is probably my connection to heroes. Of course, I grew up watching the really old Wonder Woman shows
Yes, where she
and
twirls.
she
She twirls.
twirls, yeah, and she
They love.
fights with her
That's right.
bracelets. I think probably if I like when I became older and just thinking about how like women are sometimes represented in comic books, I think that complicates it a little bit for me, but I love it. I like to go watch the films. They're
Yeah.
fun.
Well, I'm so glad that you said this. The reason I asked is because I know that, I mean, I'm a big nerd, and I knew that when I
Uh-huh.
was talking about the book, I didn't want to come across as if the book itself required some large knowledge
Mhm.
of comic books.
Yeah.
Now, we talk a lot about you when you're a writer, you write to your perfect audience.
Mhm.
Right. So, and not everyone, for this book, for instance, not everyone's going to get the comic angle, but there's going to be someone who does. And this book means so much to me because I feel like I am that writer. I am a black nerd who gets they're kind of deep cuts.
Yeah, this is for you.
That's right. This is for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, it's interesting that you talk about women within the book because as I've gotten older, as I've returned to the book,
Mhm.
that particular question of the book, how women are represented within comic book media, movies and books and TV shows.
Yeah.
I noticed that I was a lot more able to notice, or I should say, I was a lot more keen
Mhm.
to that conversation that was happening in that book. There's a poem on page 12 here.
Okay.
It's called "In a Conversation About Superheroes." So I'll read it and I'll talk you through. Now
Who
I'll
all
give a
these
warning.
are.
This is
Yeah.
a weird. This you might need to prepare yourself. This is kind of a weird one to. It's hard on the ears, I think.
Okay.
Imagine a group of people speaking about a group of men. That's important. Speaking about women,
Mhm.
particular women characters within comics. Okay. Title is "In a Conversation About Superheroes." Matt says Mystique because she can take any form. We have to admit she's a trump card. What better woman than someone who can become any ex or future lover? Jim says the invisible woman. We imagine the feel of soft air like Kansas clouds and fall. But Jim claims seeing his own dick inside her is a sight he can't afford to pass up. They groan when I say storm. She's boring because she's only black. Although she has white hair, blue eyes, taller than a light post, and can control the weather, they know I've picked her for her skin alone. Stewart surprises us when he says, Shadowcat, she can pass through solid objects. How fun could she be? But Stewart knows how she works, how she could nestle under his skin, slip herself around him like gray sky around rain.
Mm.
So when I first came into this book, I was like, "Oh, this is really bad. This is kind of this is like a really this is man, that's a rough one. That's a rough one, Gary."
Sorry, you're cracking me up.
No, it's true. It's true, especially that invisible woman line.
Uh-huh.
But then the coming to study poetry more closely, I
Mhm.
returned to the poem and I noticed that even though it's cruel and it does involve misogyny, I think the poem is actually trying to confront why and what this misogyny looks like. I mean, so comic book characters, if you ever open a comic book and you see the way they draw women, I mean, it is completely produced by the
Mhm.
male gaze.
Yeah.
Often male drawn. I mean, you're talking about proportions that, I mean, not even the Greeks were this, crazy
Yeah.
when they were making Aphrodites,
Mhm.
anyway. And so how do we reckon with that? I mean, little boys and little girls are growing up with these images of these female beauty standards through the male gaze. And I think the poem confronts that. That's a real problem within the nerd comic community. a bunch of misogyny. That's a real problem. And so these conversations do happen, and I think that's why the book tackles it. But how are we getting through it? So I think the people who talk like Jim within this poem, I think that's actually a really, even though it's kind of hard to hear, I think that's a really metaphorically rich image. The fact that Jim just wants to be with a woman who he doesn't even see. All he sees is his own dick, right? And I think that is a really potent metaphor for the kinds of guys who, now I'm yapping up a storm here, but for the kinds of guys who they don't really want a woman, they don't want to love, they just want to have their own, see their own self, right? So anyway, the reason I love this poem is because I think what we're really getting through the misogyny is a group of men who are looking for real connection. And that's why I think the speaker is interested in Storm, one of the strongest Black characters in comics, period. And at the end, this character, Stewart, who we see throughout the book, he wants someone who can move through him, who can get to the roots of him, right? Someone, shadow cast, so she can walk through walls, she can walk through people. So he wants someone to really get to the roots of him. Anyway, I thought that was a good poem to confront a lot of that misogyny that we see within comic books.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, misogyny exists with or without superhero
That's
stories.
True. That's true. Yeah, that is not a chicken or the egg kind of question, right? We know what came first. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's good to be addressed in a lens that we can kind of interpret the world through a little bit. When did you start loving comics?
Ooh, before I knew, before I knew books, before I knew any of the divisions, no, those are our myths. Comics are our modern myths and folk tales. And so I had the Spider-Man sheets before I could say the word Spider-Man. I was framed in Batman and Superman iconography. Comic books, the physical media, that came to me also in college. So unlike your husband, I don't have the space, for 1,000 comic books. I also don't have the stores. A lot of comic stores are kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
And so I came through these books very slowly. Kind of, I had my little collection, but I don't have, hundreds. I would get a lot of digital comics and a lot of media. So I grew up on a lot of superhero TV shows. And I'll tell a quick story about this, which is that the book is about comic heroes. Comic heroes as a population they don't represent the at least the American population. In other words, there's a lot more white comic characters. Yeah. And people always are mad when they turn someone who was white black. But if you did a poll of all the people within the Marvel universe, how is it? It's like 92% white. That's not what the world looks like.
Right.
I say that to see that I got used to within comics, books, and media, implanting kind of blackness where sometimes it wasn't. One of my favorite superheroes is Martian Manhunter. He's a green alien from Mars, right? And he sounded black in the TV show. Okay. So he was black.
Yeah.
Justice League had a black character, right? It had two black characters now with Green Lantern. So yeah, I it's been a lifelong love of comics and the characters and the media that surrounds the comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's maybe a question of identity and like the lack of black heroes. It's not just, once again, it's not just in comics, right? Racism exists everywhere.
That's right.
So, but your experience, seeing that lack of identity and then like looking for it, like you said, finding it where you could, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, part of our magic of writers is being able to be a part of that conversation. As spectators, the frustration is difficult. But even as spectators, even as a little boy, I was writing. Right, I was looking at Martian Manhunter. He's a green alien. He's black. I was looking, and I was making even more audacious leaps. Right, so there's this character. He's not a comic book character necessarily. His name is Samurai Jack.
Okay.
Asian guy, samurai. Right.
Yeah.
He was voiced by a black guy. He was black. I don't know what magic made him appear with the features of an Asian person, but he was a black. Anyway, so as a young kid, I was very used to confronting and using my imagination and my creativity to bring that up within media. I have a poem for this, actually.
Love it. Which one
is it? It's on page 52.
Okay,
so for a little context, Luke Cage is not a very popular character, but he is a character that comes really at the height of the 70s and 80s. He's a black man, and his gimmick is that he has unbreakable skin, right? The unbreakable Luke Cage.
Okay.
So he is rooted in what we call blaxploitation. Okay. So if you were to Google the first Luke Cage comic, what you're going to see is you're going to see a dark black man with chains around him, and he's coming out of the chains. And it's all written by white people, right? Hopefully well-meaning white people, but all written by white people.
Yeah.
And so the other thing, one more thing about it before I read the poem, he is a hero for hire, right? Now, you don't have to pay Batman to come and, help you get the cat out of the tree, right? Batman's there.
He's there.
Right? He's there. Now, that's because he's a billionaire, but you get it. The point is you don't have to hire these other heroes. So that was kind of tough, for a lot of people who he's one of the few black heroes. And yet you still got to give him a check, right? He's not doing it out of the kindness of his heart. And that's complicated, right? Let me read this poem then.
Okay.
So Luke Cage tells it as it is. Don't believe everything you read. The exploits you find in my comic are no more probable than snow in Sunnyvale. I'm not as black as you dream, but a body has to make a living. And I play the part better than any. I know the dangers of believing every shade of black you see. In this issue, there's a mandingo of a man, dark like olives, voice as deep as the desert valley in the dead of night. He smiles as if he wants to bite your throat, holds back his teeth with those bubblegum lips he can't help but lick, leaving the thinnest film of saliva on the surface. He's slick, and he's bold, and he's everything you imagine he should be. Sometimes you want to be him, want to see yourself in the silver gleam of his image. And other times you want to be wanted by him, crave his brand of desire, his form of righteousness, bringing a little black to the world, one motherfucker at a time. No matter how three-dimensional he seems, know that behind every jive turkey uttered, there is not a black mouth, but a white one that dictates who he calls nigger to temper the perfect tone of black. This is the cruelest trick. Even now, I'm defined by the borders of my panels, the hue of Cena ink, an assembly of lines, a rendering of man splayed across your page.
I have to tell you, I'm like tearing up a little bit,
Yeah.
just because I'm thinking about those images written by hopefully, like you said, well-intentioned white people. But I mean, tell me while I cry.
No, please. Let's sip our tea and cry.
Yeah, tea and cry. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Oh, my bad. Did I delay the surprise?
No, let me tell you something. Sometimes I forget to bring it up at all. But okay,
we're drinking. Just know we're drinking.
We're having a delicious sweet tea. It is it is your birthday. It is perfect. I always say, so you and I are bookends. So your birthday is today. My birthday is next Sunday.
Oh, that's great.
So I always say this is the best week of the year. Like
we're a little biased, but yeah, sure.
I agree.
Biased. I agree. Yeah.
And so we're having sweet tea. We buried the lead. We're at the Richmond Poetry Festival today. Like we are not recording in a studio. We're at the Poetry Festival right now.
We're on the go. This is nice, kind of guerrilla tactics. Before I get into the poem, I'll say that sweet tea is very special to me. My first book is about my grandmother and my mom. And we both shared. So when I told you sweet tea, so I was like, well, dealer's choice. We'll see what we get. But you got the good one. You got the one that me and my grandma would have. She's no longer with us, but she would always like Gold Peak tea because I don't know how they fit that much sugar within this. I don't know what they're using. I mean, they fit a lot of grams of sugar into this one bottle. But anyway, I appreciate your choice here.
Yay! Oh, I'm so glad because I had a few options, but I wanted to get it. So yes, we are on the go. We are drinking some sweet tea at the Richmond Poetry Fest, and we're talking about this poem that I am now recovered my composure a little bit. But that was very powerful to me. But how does it make you feel?
Yeah, it's hard as a young. It is hard, I can imagine, for anybody to be so reliant on media that only half gets them right. This is for women within comics.
Sure.
Women fans of comics, a lot of times they love these characters, but still it's often half right. It's still the male gaze, right?
Right.
This goes for a lot of populations, Latino, a lot of populations. And so the poem for me was such a hit because to be able to identify with that authenticity, to know that okay, yeah, you wanted to see yourself, you were here, you did it, but there was something authentic. There could be something authentic behind
Mm-hmm.
it. I think is really special. And also it's complicated, right? So for instance, the images we create, they do mean something. Luke Cage is pretty cool. Luke Cage is a
Right.
badass. I mean, the way I set him up, I made him sound like he's some kind of, he's really greedy, right? No, Luke Cage is a wonderful hero, right? If you do pay him, your problems will be solved. And there is that balance, right? Because you're trying to say, even I can imagine with a lot of stuff, like I do, you're a woman and you're looking at Storm and you're like, I don't know if that's authentically what she said, but Storm's a badass, And
Right.
so a lot of that does come up, but it's nice to know because of the hand of Gary Jackson in this particular poem that we're able to now create a space in which we can have more, in which we can have it more
Mhm.
authentic. And so, yeah, I think that's what I have to say.
Yeah,
That poem.
no.
I'm glad that you appreciated it. Yeah, that means a lot to me that it meant a lot to you.
Well, I think when you get to that second to last stanza, and obviously it's like a lot of the language is very strong and maybe gets, makes you feel emotional. So
Yeah,
I could then all of a sudden I was just totally pulled into
yeah.
like, oh my God, what is actually happening in this moment? So thank you.
Of course, of course. I'll say one more thing about that poem, which is that it reminds me of what we see sometimes within actors and actresses. That some of the first times that we see these black actors and actresses get their acclaim,
Mhm.
they were playing mammy and these roles that were not authentically
Mhm.
black portraits.
Right.
We had that before we had Mr. Portier, before
Right.
we had Mr. Denzel Washington. And so it's nice to give life, right? That those images obviously were harmful, but a poem like this reminds me that they were people, that not only the actors were people, but that there could be a life injecting quality to that we could
Yeah.
create a conversation with those people who are still our elders, even if we had to start there. It's nice to know that that we've moved past it. It's still nice to confront
Mhm.
these harmful images, but I like that we can confront it with a tenderness, with a softness. And so, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Yeah.
And the name of that actress, so there's a famous example of this in Gone with the Wind. One of the first black women to win an Oscar, if not the
Mhm.
first, and her name was Hattie McNeils.
Mhm.
So, yeah, these are real stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to her.
Right.
Tremendous actress. I think I want to take a second because you have been referencing being a writer so much. And I kind of want to hear a little bit more about that story. And
Sure.
your book of poetry is out now. And I have to imagine that you have always been a poet or have always picked up books like this. But what was it like writing this story? I know it's very close to your heart.
Yeah, this is my first book of poetry. It's called The Grace of Black Mothers. It's about maybe two tracks of things.
Okay.
The first track is it's a personal story about me, my relationship with people who I call my mothers, who are my grandmother, my biological mother, and my aunties. They
Mhm.
all raised me. It's a funny story that they're all in my name. My name is it was created by my aunts, but my name collects all the women who helped raise me. So Mar is my grandmother's nickname,
Mhm.
Thea is my mother's name, and Us are my aunties. So
Oh.
yeah. So that was one track of the book.
Okay.
The other track of the book is about a kind of nasty pattern or legacy, if you will, that you see in the African American community, in which you see a black youth killed. Sometimes it's black youth, sometimes it's the mothers like Sonia Massey.
Mm.
You see a black youth killed, and their mother or their family has to take the mic. A famous example that I hope we all have is Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till,
Mm.
who, if they haven't scrubbed the history books, you should have learned, has this famous portrait in which by Jet magazine, in which she's crying in front of the open casket. She decided to have an open casket. But you see throughout history of our people these images of women, mothers, having to assume the role of now a kind of a mother for their children. Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, many different mothers within the book. So those are two tracks within the book. It's so funny, I we could talk about it more, the book, but I always say that the title is much more kind. Or I should say the title is the title. I love the title, but it does the book is a tough read.
Okay.
The title is sunny and warm, right?
Yeah.
The book isn't necessarily always sunny and warm.
Sure. Well, talking about that a little bit, I mean, the grace of Black mothers and the ones you've just referenced so much, is there a particular poem that speaks to that experience in particular that you'd
Ye-
like to share with us today?
Yes, yes. I'll read one about the Karate Kid.
Okay. All right.
The Karate Kid is, superheroes do show up in this book, but not quite the same way. The book that I'm working on right now actually is dealing with a lot of superheroes.
Okay.
The work in progress. But this poem I'm going to read is a lot of it has to do with the importance of media to young children. And so I think that's in line with some of the discussions we were having. So you said that there's a hair's difference in age between
Just
us.
a hair.
One of the products of those hairs difference is that the Karate Kid I grew up with was Jaden Smith, Will Smith's kid.
Real?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
That's
That's right.
right.
And I was like,
You grew up on a different Karate Kid, maybe.
yeah, Ralph Macchio, right?
I don't know. I didn't grow up on that movie. No.
You've never seen
I've
it?
never seen it.
The one that my husband made me watch it. He has to sweep the floor.
I had a different sweep the floor scene. I had the
Oh.
Karate Kid. I think my Karate Kid came out in 2009.
Okay.
I have a sweep the floor scene, but it
Okay.
is not the original. I don't have the original Mr. Miyagi. I have
Yeah.
Jackie Chan as Mr. Miyagi.
Okay. All right. You and I's homework. I am gonna go home.
I gotta go watch
we'll swap
yours.
and we'll catch up later. Yeah.
Well, for my version of the Karate Kid, we have Jaden Smith.
Okay.
And what you need to know for this movie is that Jaden Smith he and his single black mother moved to karate. Sorry, excuse me. He and his single black mother moved to China.
Okay.
And so he's a black kid now in China, the protagonist, and he's getting bullied. And so he picks up karate as a way to confront that. The poem, this one is called Jaden Smith Stole Our Role in the Karate Kid. Let us catch your light-skinned ass on the Great Wall of China again. We'll show you some real tender-headed black boy kung fu. Drag our knuckles across concrete riverbanks of pitch and soot to bust your bottom lip. Come clad in those ugly-ass NASCAR track pants, that tight-ass wife-beater tank top, that wide-ass grease-tinted forehead you got from daddy. Our tiger palms will Cadillac turn on their way to slap the black off you. We're owed a swan kick, Jaden. Owed Jackie Chan hijinks and Bruce Lee's gi. Our single mom was meant to grindstone rusty spoons into mirror-cool silver. We were meant to wax and wane in the ruby glow of lantern-lifted destiny. Those were our fucking forbidden fruits to forage from the Beijing Beverly Hills Chinaberry trees. Sure, we were only 12, and upon reflection, we can see how you would have been a bigger box office draw, but can you blame us for the jealousy? Do you have any idea how important kung fu is to broke black kids? Aching to pinch bullets from the breeze or weave some semblance of control within the fibers of our futures. When you airballed, break-danced, let that giggling girl pluck strands from your hair, when castor oil drooled from your nunchuck braids onto the pavement, when bullies stove your stomach in, tell us, where do you summon those tears from?
So talking about that, so what was your experience like watching the movie and writing?
Well, that's the weird thing. So you're trying to write like what it was to watch the movie as a kid, but
Right.
at that time, man, when did I write that poem? 19, something like that, 20
Okay.
maybe. Anyway, man, so I had to rewatch the movie. It had been a long time, and so I'm nuts. And so what I did was I rented it on YouTube.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I had to turn it in for something. So I was like, I got to write a poem about Jaden Smith, about this movie. So I watched the movie at 2 times speed. Yes, gas worthy. That was deadline night. I had to write it in the night.
You got to get it done.
I got to get it done.
I got you.
Don't do this.
Right.
And so I'm watching a movie at 2 times speed, and I'm just writing notes about things I'm noticing.
Yeah.
Images. Oh, the swan kick and the Chinaberry trees. And then I'm just writing this poem as I'm watching the movie, trying to take notes about the movie. I don't even know if I answered your question. What was your question? Was your question how did I write it, or what?
Yeah, just your experience of like watching the movie and then your inspiration to
Ah,
like take on this poem. Was that something that had been sitting in your soul for a long time, I
yes,
guess?
yes. The movie was important to me. I mean,
Mhm.
the way in which the poem arrived to that deadline was kind of ugly, but no, the poem has been sitting in my heart for a long time because again, we were talking about the representation of who we are within the media,
Yeah.
and Jaden Smith. I was convinced I was Jaden Smith.
Oh.
No. When this movie came out, I
Uh-huh.
was ridiculous, right? So I'm young,
Yeah.
and they had a Happy Meal connection with Karate
You've
Kid.
got to.
I thought that was for me. You could I thought, I mean, I was the king of McDonald's. I was Jaden Smith. I had a movie coming out because I wore my hair in cornrows. Jaden
Okay.
Smith wears his hair in cornrows. I'm a little light-skinned kid. He's
Mhm.
a little light-skinned kid. You couldn't be convinced that I wasn't Jaden Smith. Anyway. And
Yeah.
so it was, I think what that story illustrates is that it was that excitement is rooted in me
Mhm.
because that was what's the Gen Z term? I should know. I'm a part of the
Aren't
generation.
you Gen Z?
Core memory. It's a core
A
memory
core memory, yes.
of being able to be elated about
Mhm.
seeing yourself
Mm.
and having it feel authentic to you. I
Yeah.
like karate, I'm doing karate
Yes.
out, and so
Yeah.
that's why I think the poem is even though it was delivered in a kind of silly way, why it was very easy to write in that way.
Yeah, well, I think that kinda gets, like, the heart of art and creativity, right? Because like, even if you're speeding through it,
Mhm.
if you've had it sitting there for a long time, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
You can really pull out real gems.
that's very nice of you to say.
Is that how you
Thank you.
feel when you write your poem? Is it always something
Oh
you're
man,
sitting with for a while? Is it something you're wrestling with?
I like that word,
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah.
That is a great word for for what it is sometimes, or maybe closer to wrestling, which is
Southern version?
yes, and also it's there's kayfabe, which means that there's a kind of a production about the
Mhm.
wrestling, right? A
Yeah.
kind of WWE style,
Mhm.
you're putting on costumes kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, I sit with poems for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
I did not know that this was strange until I started talking to other people. I asked so poems are supposed to be short, right?
Mhm.
So I asked people, man, how much time do you spend on a poem the first time you write it, right? So you sit down to write it. My friends would be like, oh, about an hour maybe if it's a bad poem. Oh my gosh! And then that's how I figured out I'm a weirdo.
Uh-huh.
I will spend 8 hours. I mean, back when I had the time,
Yeah.
weekends typically,
Yeah.
8 hours at the desk,
Uh-huh.
pacing, listening to music. I really am, and I'm not talking like a fiction. I'm not talking like a chapter in a book. I'm talking, what can end up being 14 lines
Right.
wrestling with
Mhm.
trying to find those gems, trying to find something that's authentic. And so that's my process. I mean, I hope I get there, but it is, I don't know. I feel like I'm looking, it's a real struggle, but I think it's one that's rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, I read a quote recently and it was like, art and creativity should be messy and embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, there might be
I didn't
my
write
wall might have that as a honest. You might have got
Yeah.
one more poster with that. That's good.
Yeah.
It's true. I think I identify with that.
Yeah, I think sometimes we like you were talking about like imposter syndrome, perfectionism, something I struggle with. And it's like, no, like art is complicated, it's messy, it can be embarrassing if you're really being honest about what's inside of you. So,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree.
Yeah. I wanted to ask just real quick, coming back to Missing You, Metropolis, right? Who would we recommend this book for?
Well, I would recommend this book to anyone who would be interested in seeing the difficulties of love and romance.
Mhm.
That's a great question. Who would I recommend it to? I would recommend it to, I think, first and foremost, comic fans.
Mhm.
That's an easy one. I mean, if you have a passing resemblance to comics or if you have a passing love for comics, this is a book for you. If you're someone who has seen the seasons of love and you're
Mhm.
interested in each season, you're not just interested in the honeymoon season, but you're
Mhm.
interested in the season where you're out of a relationship. If you're
Yeah.
interested in the seasons, the hot and steamy
Mhm.
seasons, the cold and dreary seasons,
Yeah.
I think it's a book for you. I think it's an approachable poetry book,
Mhm.
and I'm using that word approachable to mean it invites. people in through through common meeting points, through places that we might be able to meet together. You might not know every single character mentioned within the book, but I think the way we're getting there, I think it's set up in a way that most people can read it. You said your husband listens to the podcast?
Yes, he does.
Can I read him a poem that he might identify with?
Let's do it.
Because when you were telling me about, the way that he has, I don't know now. Go ahead.
I'm already going to be in the hot seat because I called him out on the comics.
Oh,
about
gosh.
his plethora of comics. So let's do him. Yes.
Well, this will be a gift. We can make up for it. Now, don't take this as an insult of your age, but when we talk about comics, we have them and we categorize them. I don't know why, but we categorize them in ages. So there's the Golden Age, there's the Bronze Age, there's the Silver Age. So this author came from the Silver Age of comic books, and so here's the poem. The Silver Age. I decide to meet the amazing Spider-Man at Jeremiah Bullfrog's and have a drink for old time's sake. He wants to know if I'll take him back. I tell him I can't. Not after he started courting boys half my age. Though I know we never were monogamous, I never thought he'd dump me for a new generation of lovers. There is always a time, dear reader, where you're the other lover, the new partner, with young skin and an impressionable mind. But as years pass, you find it's only you growing old. Your beloved hero is still in his 20s, despite the decades spent together. Spider-Man sitting in front of me, nursing a Heineken with his mask pulled half up, hasn't aged a day since 1977. And here I am, 27 and already too old to keep him company. He brings up a young man who lives in San Diego, tan and 13 and all too eager to enjoy my old lover's stories. He tells me I used to be that boy, and I tell him he's buying the next round.
I love that. Well, I have to tell you, because you and your lovely partner are both here, and it's on page 79. Yeah. And so y'all are in your 20s, and I love that for you. I still feel like I'm 24, right? It's like, how has time gone by?
That's right.
I'm still the same person I was. It's just all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness. So the Silver Age on page 79 is a good example of what aging feels like. Because all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm not cool anymore.
That's
I was the coolest.
That's right.
Yeah. So absolutely. I wanted to take a minute just to talk about, you said you've got a new project that you're working on.
Yes.
Like what are we putting a spotlight on for you today?
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Oh, this is such a kind question. Well, one of the reasons that I love this book, and one of the reasons it's going to be my I think it will be my favorite book for a long time, is because I'm dreadfully envious. I mean, you find a book sometimes that was written that you're like, oh my gosh, if I would have written that, oh man. But it's written, and that's fine. It's a beautiful envy.
It's great.
But it doesn't mean that you can't take inspirations. And so my newest project is emulating this choice in how it's incorporating several voices from across my interests and speaking through them in what we call persona poems. So I have Lois Lane poems within the new project. I have a Spider-Man poem. I have things like, I have a Invisible Woman poem. But it's also taking into account African folklore heroes that I have been researching. Anansi the Spider, who's a trickster hero within African folklore, has many poems. John Henry, who's an African American folklore hero who's known for defeating a mining machine. And so that's, I guess, the teaser trailer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, very cool. Yes. So, and where can people find you if they're looking for you? Your website, are you on social media?
I allegedly, yes, I'm on social media.
Okay.
or you can find the pages on social media. I, as a person, might not be there, but
they're out there.
They're out there. Well, my aunties blessed me with a beautiful name that is helpful as an author because I have a unique name. So if you Google me, I am not competing with another, Emily Brown, for instance. Sure. So if you Google me, you should be able to find my website, which I spent I designed my website. I need to, it was hard. So if you want to show me some love there, if people use websites anymore, I have an Instagram, which is my name @Martheaus. And if you really need to know me, I mean, I'm sure you'll find me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could email me,
Okay.
if outside of those two things, yeah, I'm not that interesting to know, honestly. I don't know if you need, I don't have a Twitter. No one needs to know what I think on the toilet.
Okay.
So anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, this has been a lot of fun today. I honestly, I really honestly could keep going for a lot longer, but I know y'all we have to go.
We're on the run,
Yeah.
we're actually in the middle of a festival right now. Happy
Yeah.
Poetry Month.
Yeah. Happy Poetry Month.
Well, we're
Happy,
recording in April in
yeah.
our birthday month.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's April. Happy birthday to you. This has been absolutely lovely. Thank you for taking the time to do this with me today.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you. You're now my hero. Look
Oh.
at you, right? A little cheesy ending.
Yeah.
That's how comic books end.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I would say
Oh,
cheers. Yeah.
cheers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Thank you for spending some time with me and my guests for an episode of Drinks in the Library. For more information about the show, you can find us on Instagram at Drinks in the Library, on the World Wide Web, drinksinthelibrary.com, or shoot me an email at drinkspod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers.